They're like, come on, apply makeup, everybody else is. So I went and put makeup on and got some of the powder in my eyes. And about 4 hours in, I just had to go. So I tried to wash out of my eyes and stuff, but by then my eyes were so inflamed. That's why by the end of it, by about 10 o'clock at night when I left, I was getting really angry because my eyes were burning. I've gotten Tabasco in my eyes. It doesn't hurt as bad as makeup. It just keeps burning and burning. So on our front, give the crew an A+, give me an A for not applying makeup right. But hey, I'm not good at it, so I've been shown about 20 times how to do it, but I usually don't wear makeup on there. Not wearing any right now. If you're a radio listener, you go, what do you mean you're not wearing any? You know, radio is show business for ugly people. We're simulcasting video always at Infowars.com/show. You can see the nightly news and more in all my films when you subscribe to PrisonPlanet.tv. And by the way, we have cable networks, satellite uplinks, broadcast TV stations, over 100 of them in a file that have been getting a hold of us the last year saying, we want your show, we want your show. So I've just got to get the nightly news officially launched up to an hour. I've got to pay for the uplinks and connect to all of it, and we're going to instantly have a huge, giant audience. And I have dropped the ball super royal. Not my crew. I've dropped the ball super royal because I've been so busy doing radio interviews, working on the nightly news, doing the radio show, doing research, and a bunch of family stuff that's come up in the last year that we are about 10 months behind here. But by the new year, it's all going to be done, all going to be launched, and you'll be able to call stations in your area, UHF, VHF, cable systems. So many of the owners and managers are listeners. It's just insane, the contacts we've got. I mean, broadcast TV stations in Houston, broadcast TV stations in Atlanta, broadcast TV stations in Chicago, broadcast TV stations in Los Angeles, ready to carry it every night. And I've just been tinkering with it and messing with it and trying to get it looking so good and perfect. We're just going to go with it, okay? But last night was a really exciting beta test, 6 hours live, and no teleprompters. Of course, we're going to have to put in a delay because after hours of makeup in my eyes, I did start dropping some S words, and I apologize for that, and that's why I left. Because, I mean, I get up at 6:30 in the morning, and it's 10 o'clock at night, and looking at these politicians. Bravo Sierra is the only word sometimes I can use. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Should I give myself maybe an A- now? But overall, powerful transmission yesterday. And we're going to try to get all that uploaded. Well, it is archived, the entire 6 hours, to PrisonPlanet.tv. We'll try to take some of the highlights of the election coverage. This was great analysis. It wasn't just the horse race, looking at the numbers and, you know, bashing Tea Party the whole time, no matter what broadcast it was. Because Limbaugh's right. I've never seen such a unification of state-run Democrat media and the Republican leadership to go after the Tea Party and say they're discredited, they have no power, they're bad, they're evil, they're racist, when they're the people that caused this realignment. It's the establishment now trying to make sure they can maintain control. They're scared. They're not invincible. Now, I want to take your phone calls, the toll-free number to talk about election 2014, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's all coming up. I want to hear from first-time callers in the first few rounds. Then by the middle of the next hour, it'll be open to everybody. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231. That's 800-259-9231, and we'll get you up and on the air. I want to run through, though, the good, the bad, and the ugly, mainly good. There is some bad. Places like Washington State, with Bill Gates funding it, did pass draconian gun control. And Bloomberg's help. I told you, of course, the governor got reelected in California and basically declared that California's a new Mexican state. How many Mexican states are there? Like 10 or something? Maybe it's the 11th Mexican state or 12th Mexican state. But it's not even a Mexican state. It's the big drug cartel, you know, crime systems state. But meanwhile, the gun control movement was routed almost everywhere else. So a huge repudiation and a huge referendum on victim disarmament. That's all coming up as well. But I want to go to a report that John Bound put together for last night's coverage dealing with You Didn't Build It. and basically showing the fact that the United States was loved and admired from Japan to France, from Germany to Caribbean islands, the entire world, from Russia to Prussia. The whole world marveled at the United States because most of the inventions, most of the amazing art, you name it, came from here. And we did build it. The true immigrants, the swashbucklers, the trailblazers did build this country. That's why the system demonizes it, because it threatened the entire European system of monopoly, of crony capitalism, of letter of marque, of licensure, of centralized control. Europe had been going through Renaissance for 500 years, but still it was mainly a centralized system. But the Renaissance flowered in North America, and everything we've seen for 300 years, even before the founding of this country, has been a struggle to suppress innovation. Read the writings of George Washington, what the war was really about. That's why they demonize him so much. Here is John Bound's report for Infowars.com.
If you've been successful, you didn't get there on your own. You didn't get there on your own. I'm always struck by people who think, well, it must be because I was just so smart. There are a lot of smart people out there.
Benjamin Franklin invented thousands of things.
Never leave till tomorrow what you can do today. Benjamin Franklin.
It must be because I worked harder than everybody else. Let me tell you something. There are a whole bunch of hard-working people out there.
Oh, like Thomas Edison?
There is no substitute for hard work. Thomas Alva Edison.
If you were successful, somebody along the line gave you some help. There was a great teacher somewhere in your life.
Most pilots learn when they pin on their wings and go out and get in a fighter, especially that one thing you don't do. You don't believe anything anybody tells you about an airplane. Chuck Yeager.
Somebody helped to create this unbelievable American system that we had that allowed you to thrive.
Democracy is a pathetic belief in the collective wisdom of individual ignorance. H.L. Meekin.
If you've got a business, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
Nothing strengthens the judgment and quickens the conscience like individual responsibility. Elizabeth Cady Stanton.
Don't let anybody tell you that, it's corporations and businesses that create jobs. You know, that old theory, trickle-down economics. That has been tried. That has failed.
The internet didn't get invented on its own.
I took the initiative in creating the internet. I took the initiative in moving forward a whole range of initiatives.
There's some things, just like fighting fires, we don't do on our own. I mean, imagine if everybody had their own fire service. That'd be a hard way to organize fighting fires. So we say to ourselves, ever since the founding of this country, you know what, there's some things we do better together.
The basic philosophy between the so-called extreme left people, on communists and socialists, and the so-called philosophy on the right of the fascists and the Nazis was really the same. I said, how can this be? They're supposed to be opposites of each other. And then I began to realize that there is something more common to all of these philosophies that was left out of my training and education. And that was the ideology of collectivism. I began to realize that the thing that was common to them all is something called collectivism. Now that's a word that is not very well used. It's not very entrenched in the vocabulary of most people today. But I found out that it was a very commonly used word about a century ago. People wrote a lot about collectivism, and the opposite of that would be individualism. Those are two words that are sort of abandoned today, but in my view, I think they need to be recaptured and understood and used more.
America is big enough to make room for many different kinds of thinking, but many liberals have claimed to see virtues in socialism and communism, which I, for one, have not been able to find. To promote their ideas, American liberals have become a highly organized, hardcore establishment in the United States. And they have been excusing their appeasement and coddling of communism on the ground that they were being tolerant, broad-minded, and working for peace.
Remember always that you not only have the right to be an individual, you have an obligation to be one. Eleanor Roosevelt.